Hi, my name is Emily Good, and today I am going to tell you about all the books I read in July. I had a really good reading month. It's very exciting. I read 6 books. That's like the best reading month I've had, I think possibly all year. My goal at the beginning of the month was to read one physical book a week and one audiobook because of The Two Towers by J.R.R. Tolkien. I felt a little bit behind on the audiobooks, and I just have to tell you that I'll tell you about it. I won't get into that right now. First, I'll go through the physical books that I read. This is the stack of books that I have to take back to the library, but I didn't want to take them back until I made this video. So here I go. God, it seems like a lifetime ago that I read this book, but the first book that I read and finished was The Gunkel by Stephen Rowley. What did I rate it? I rated it 2 stars. I don't know, it was really cute. So let me tell you what it was about. So these two kids, they lose their mom, and their gay uncle is kind of put into a position where he needs to take them back to his Palm Springs super fun bachelor pad. So the kids come and go to live with their gay uncle, and who is not, he's very, like, he's living his best life. He's single, although there is a story behind that. And he's not used to, like, being around kids, and so in that way, I was kind of like, okay, this character, like, could be so much more. He's kind of a recluse. He has, some loss in his life, and their mom was his best friend. So it's kind of a cute little coming of age. I gave it 2 stars because it all felt, it all felt very surface level. It's a very cute story, and I do recommend it if you're looking for, like, a nice, light, easy final month of summer read. It was cute, but for me, like, it didn't change my life. I literally, again, it feels like forever ago that I read this versus just a month ago, whereas some of these books here, like, are still so strongly with me. So I gave it 2 stars, but look at the cover. I mean, it's so cute. I just thought that things could have gone a little bit deeper, I guess, but that's just my opinion. Okay, and I did primarily listen to this, and this is actually my copy, so I probably should take it out of my library book bag, but The Two Towers. So I listened to this one because otherwise I wouldn't have read anything else, because I just so badly shirk reading this. I did not enjoy it. I feel like I'm forcing my way through it. I'm noticing that audiobooks are harder for me, but I feel like with this one, just because it seems to move so slow, there's so much detail. This one was a little bit better for me than The Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, but what did I rate it? I gave it 3 stars. It's just not, like, life-changing to me. I was going to try to read the 3rd and final book in the trilogy this month, but I honestly just don't feel like it. I will eventually. I know what happens in the first 2 books. I'm not going to forget, like I would maybe a different trilogy. So I'll pick it up eventually. Just right now, I don't want to go into a reading slump. I don't want to spend time on something that I really don't want to read. So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about The Two Towers. If you want to know what The Two Towers is about, if you somehow don't know, I would recommend looking it up, because trust me, I am not the girl to let you know. Frodo basically is on a quest, and people are fighting with orcs, and there's a lot of history happening in this Middle Earth world. So that's that. The Midnight Library I don't have, so let me tell you about this. So I really wanted to, my goal was to, in July, I decided I was going to start a book club. A book club that meets in person, we'll just eat food, talk about the book that we've chosen. So I was all excited, and we all voted on the Midnight Library, which has been on my bookshelf for a long time. So we did that, and I don't know, like, it was hard to, so it gets to the end of the month. We were supposed to have our get together on July 28th, and like, nobody really was telling me if they were coming or not. I was going to do it up at my mom's because she just has a much bigger space than I do. And nobody, like, you know, a couple people said that they couldn't come, but nobody else was, like, saying if they would come or not come. So I didn't know, like, what kind of food to prepare, or it just wasn't very active. So I my heart broke a little bit in the month of July because I just really wanted that to be a thing. I just really want to get together in person with people. So I'm gonna have to find a book club to join and go to. I just, you know, I know that they always do them at libraries, and I definitely appreciate the effort. I guess I love the library. I love the library so much. I'm very appreciative that it exists. But for me, like, a book club, I have gone to a book club before at a library, and it just felt very, very sterile to me. You don't have food. You don't have, I don't know, like, and this could have just been the one that I went to, so it's probably not a very fair opinion, but I don't know. I just so wanted, you know, I read, one of my favorite books is Angry Housewives Eating Bonbons, and I also really enjoyed, oh shoot, what is it? The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I loved that one. I love the friendships that are formed. I love the, like, laid backness of people just going to each other's houses and just eating food and talking about fun books. So I just really wanted to start that, and just, like, it kind of fell. I ended up canceling it the day of because I didn't, you know, I didn't know, like, if I needed to have food prepared. Literally nobody was saying anything. So I canceled the event. So this is totally off topic, but this is just what happened to me in the month of July. So I canceled it. My mom calls me, and she was like, I saw that you canceled our book club. And I was like, yeah, Mom, nobody said that they were coming. She was like, I said that I was coming. I was like, Mom, it was at your house. Of course you were going to be there. She was like, but still, I was going to be there. And so I called Will and told him that story. And he was like, you can never say that your parents don't fully support you. And it is so true. They do. So that was a cute little thing. So I have wonderful parents, and I'm very, very grateful. So back to my wrap up. Oh yeah, okay, so The Midnight Library was the book that we chose. I enjoyed it. I really liked the premise. There were a few different parts, like, I could have, there were a lot of different, like, scenarios that I could have probably done without. So The Midnight Library, so the girl, I can't remember her name now, and I don't have the book in front of me to even, I probably should have looked it up before making this video, but, she decides to check out of the world, and upon doing that, she ends up at this Midnight Library. And at this Midnight Library, there are books, and there are unlimited options, unlimited worlds that she has lived in an alternate universe. So upon choosing a book, she, like, goes through her regrets. She like what did I regret from the last life? And then she would pick a book and go to those different worlds. And, you know, it was really kind of lovely. I really enjoyed the way that what I took from it was, like, if you're not happy with yourself, no life you're living in is going to make you happy. You could be a rock star, you could be a famous artist, you could be a mom of 3, you know, being a stay-at-home mom, talking about books on YouTube, you are not going to, it doesn't matter where you're at if you're not happy with yourself. So that's what I took from the book, which I really appreciated and loved. You know, when I started like looking at like movie stars and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're living their like midnight library, like they're at the top of their game, but are they happy? You know, so it was really interesting. Like, it got me thinking, which I guess is like what I look for from a book. What did I end up reading it? I gave it 4 stars just because, again, I don't even remember the girl's name. There's probably a lot of aspects that I don't even remember about it, and I only read it, you know, less than a month ago. I was playing outside with my kids in these clothes, and I was pulling weeds. So if you're like, wow, she looks like a mess, yeah, I am a mess. But I needed to make this because we're going to pick up another book from the library, and I just need to get these out of my house. So let me get to my favorite books of the month. So I will tell you about them. First one, I gave 3 books 5 stars. So we are moving on to the elite of July. Wayward by Amelia Hart. I loved this book. I typically am not into books that like switch back and forth between characters, especially when there are 3 characters. Every single woman in this book, though, I really connected with. I connected so strongly with the female experiences that they all went through. There was a woman back in the 1600s, Altha. She is being tried for a witch, so that's where her story starts. She's like actually held in a cave or a prison or whatever because she's about to be tried for a crime of being a witch. So they're trying to hang her. And then what's the next? Okay, and then World War II, 1942. What's her? Violet, who it took me the longest to get into Violet, but I ended up really loving her. I did make a video already on Wayward, but I will just tell you kind of this little synopsis. So yeah, you have Violet who deals with a trauma. Her dad doesn't appreciate her. Her mom is obviously gone. Nobody will tell her anything about her mom. She really connects to the Grimm's fairy tales. She's very nature. All of these girls are very nature oriented, so I really enjoyed. They're like very connected with creatures, and they don't pick flowers. They just kind of let nature be, and they're immersed with it. So Violet goes through some trauma, and she, you know, finds her power. And then you also have, Kate, who is present day. So she's in 2019, and she is fleeing from an abusive partner. And upon fleeing, or maybe right before she flees, she finds out that, let me see if it says it in here. It doesn't say it here, so I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil anything. But she ends up fleeing to one of her bloodline's cottages. So this cottage holds kind of a lot of magic, and the Wayward women will definitely stick with me. I definitely plan on getting the paperback. I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it. If you're looking for a good book on female experiences, this has 3 in it. They're all connected. It's not like 3 separate stories. They are all connected, and I loved it. I loved it. Okay, so the next book was probably my favorite. That Wayward was a 5-star, and this was a 5-star, but this, The Four Winds. The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. This is my second Kristen Hanna book I've read. The Nightingale was the first one. I listened to it, and I'm finding that when I listen to a book right now, I don't know if it's because I have 2 kids who are always like yelling, and I'm constantly having to start, stop, start, stop. I don't get as connected to the story. I don't get as connected to the characters. So that could have been what happened. I don't know if I'd have a different reading experience with it if I actually read the physical book. But I connected with Elsa, the main character, Elsa, in this so greatly. I loved her. Typically, meek women in a story kind of get on my nerves. It's kind of like a pet peeve. Like, I don't want to read about a weak woman. I want to read about powerful women. I want to read about a woman who takes charge. Yeah, I want to read about a woman who takes charge. And Elsa starts out as meek. Like, her family, she's kind of like the ugly duckling of her family. They don't think she's ever going to get married. Nobody kind of wants her. Her family just kind of, she had like a sickness when she was young, so her family, I guess, is trying to protect her. But like back in the days when when the book started, women were supposed to be married like by a certain age, and she just wasn't having anybody calling on her. So she ends up getting a little wild on her own. I loved the beginning, how she meets this guy. I don't remember his name. Is it Rafe? Or is that a different? Yeah, yes, it is Rafe. See, I love this book. She meets a guy and ends up doing some things, and she ends up marrying him. And she ends up with the Martinellis, who are very Italian, very different. Her family disowns her, so she goes to live at this place where she gets this new family, basically, and they take her in, and they love her, and she loves them. And then the Dust Bowl happens. The Great Depression happens. Things just take a major turn, and she goes on a journey with her kids, and I loved it. Every time I got to sit down with this book, I mean, like, I was up, like, reading, like, if I woke up in the middle of the night and started turning on, like, a show to put me back to sleep, I picked up this book. I just was so completely invested in it, and I loved the way that it ended. It was sad, but I really loved it. I loved Elsa's relationship, the turmoil that she had with her daughter, who kind of didn't always respect her, kind of saw her as a weak woman, and I loved reading Elsa's reasoning, behind, like, she was just such a strong woman while being kind of meek. Like, she took her power in different ways than, like, a typical woman might, I guess. She just did it in a very mild way, and I loved it. I loved it so much. 5 stars. 5 stars for sure. The next one I want to read is The Great Alone, but I am in the middle of the best trilogy ever. Not The Lord of the Rings. But and I will tell you about that here in a second, actually, because I forgot that I didn't write down that I finished it. Like, literally the last day of July, I finished this book. But moving on, so my second audiobook that I listened to was Between Two Kingdoms by Suleika Jawad. I did talk about it in my, like, mid-year freakout, and it's my second time. The first time I read the physical book, and then the second time I listened to it. I can't say enough things about it. I did talk about it in the wrap-up, but let me just tell you about it, so that if this is the video that you watch instead of the mid-year freakout tag, you know about it. If you're into memoirs, kind of even if you're not, I would say, I think you should read Between Two Kingdoms. It is absolutely, without a doubt, one of my favorite books. Again, it is a memoir. This girl ends up, Suleika, who is actually reading the audiobook. So if you have Audible or Libby, I highly recommend the audiobook, or I highly recommend the physical copy. So Suleika discovers at a young age that she has cancer, like in her 20s. She's like in Paris, like, trying to, like, get away from her partying lifestyle. And she ends up like getting really sick, and actually while in Paris, her boyfriend Will moved from the United States to Paris to be with her, and they're living their best like little honeymoon stage, and then she discovers that she has cancer. So she comes back to the United States to kind of see the severity of things, and things kind of go from there. She ends up getting treated in New York City. I forget the name of it. I can't remember the name of the hospital where she's at, but she's in New York City. So her story, her memoir, while she was sick, basically, she started a blog called Life Interrupted. I have not checked it out yet, but I would like to try to find it because I love her. I love her story. So she starts this blog because she can't really do much else. And, you know, she gets all these letters. It becomes really a very popular blog. So she meets lots of people through it. And like an inmate writes to her who's on death row, other sick people, I think a mom who lost her child. Like lots of different people from different walks of life wrote to her. And so the story goes through her sickness, the friends that she met who were also sick, losing some of them, going through the struggles of being young and sick and being in a new relationship, and her boyfriend kind of sticking with her through it and the challenges that posed. And then the second part of the book is her not sick anymore, which is a struggle. You know, you would think that like your whole goal, and this is what she says, she puts it so beautifully in the book, that, you know, the whole time you're fighting for your life, you just want to get to the other side. You just want to get to the other side of being cancer-free, healthy. But then when you get there and you've been sick for so long, and you kind of had lost all of your independence, you lost so much of yourself, you kind of don't know who you are anymore. You don't know what to do, where to go. And she deals with that. And I never would have even considered that. And I think that that's one of the things that I love so much about the book is I got such a different perspective on people who are young and sick, and like just a different mindset that I just never would have even considered had I not read this book. So I got a new perspective on life from reading this book, which is why I read books. And I am just so appreciative for her for writing the book. So 5 stars all the way. I highly recommend you reading it. Did I say that she like ends up going on a road trip to meet these people? I think I started to say it and then I went off on a different tangent. But so the second part of the book is her going on a road trip to meet these different people. She goes by herself. She kind of forces herself to sit with herself and really dig deep. She has lots of different experiences. She didn't even have her license prior to going on this road trip. So she ended up getting her license, getting a vehicle from a friend, and she goes on a road trip with her dog. And she meets these different people and writes about those experiences, and it is amazing. It's amazing. I will buy that book and have it on my bookshelf. A lot of these books I'm going to buy and have on my bookshelf, but right now I don't have them. But yeah, so that is Between Two Kingdoms. And one final book that I forgot that I finished this in the month of July. So actually I read 7 books. Emily of New Moon. I did make a video about it, but I will tell it here again because I'll be talking about this book. I will be talking about this trilogy on my channel quite a bit because I just need to talk about it. This is my favorite new character. This is my favorite new character, Emily of New Moon. It is written by, if you don't know anything about it, I'm going to act like you don't know anything about it. So Emily of New Moon and Emily Climbs and Emily's Quest, they are a trilogy written in the 1900s. I think it's like 1921 that the first one was published by Ella Montgomery. who is the author of Anne of Green Gables. So I finally have picked up this, hi. Okay, pretty girl. Yeah, that's Mama. I'm talking about books. You want to sit here with me?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I'm going to be higher.
Yeah, you're higher, huh?
Hello down there.
Hello up there. So Emily of New Moon is old. It's a classic, kind of, Canadian by a Canadian author, Ellen Montgomery. Emily, it starts out her finding out that her dad is sick. Her mom has been dead for a long time. And like her nanny type of person like tells her very shittily that her dad is dying. And she's very close. Emily is very close with her dad, so she loves him a lot. So she's brokenhearted, and she doesn't really know what's going to happen afterwards. Well, she comes to find out that she has a family on her mom's side who she's never met because her mom ended up like running away from her family to be with Emily's dad. So Emily's never met these people before, but she ends up with one of the aunts, Aunt Elizabeth, who also in that house also resides Aunt Laura and cousin Jimmy, and she ends up at this place called New Moon with family who she's never met, and it takes you through her dealing with her dad's loss, through journal entries, through just like a regular told story. It is so beautifully written though. If you read and loved Anne of Green Gables, I genuinely need for you to read this as well. Hey buddy, hang on. You jump in? So things are getting a little bit wild, but I am just starting the third and final book in the trilogy. I am loving it completely. I will be talking about it more, but as you can see, things are getting a little bit wild right now. They're getting a little bit wild, so we're probably going to sign off of here, but please read this. Emily is a beautiful character. I love her so much. I love the story. I love the writing. I typically really need to be gripped and held onto throughout a book for me to love it. But Emily, the writing was enough. Like I'm here for the writing. The story is amazing, yes, but like the writing, the way that Ellen Montgomery just, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not sure like exactly what I love about it. I have been vlogging me reading the second book, and now I'm going to vlog in the same thing, reading the third book, Emily's Quest. But I love it. I just am completely obsessed. I will do a wrap up on just the series that's not spoilery, because the vlog is definitely spoilers, because I really would like to connect and talk with people who have read the books, because it's just my favorite. I just need to talk about it. I need for other people to read it. I need for people to love this as well. I hope that people will. If like anybody reads it because of me, I hope that they love it. But yeah, Emily of New Moon was my final book. So 7 books in the month of July is awesome for me. Awesome, super cool. So I didn't get to finish I didn't do the 8 books that I wanted, because I wanted to do 2 books a week, but that's okay. That's okay with me. This month might be even less. August might be even less, because I just have been moving a little bit slower, but that's okay with me. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I cannot believe that I just did a 30-minute video on Roman. On my wrap up, but that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you next time. Goodbye.
I pressed it.
Yeah, press the square button.